Welcome to the premiere of In Focus. I'm Eden Lane. Colorado has a vibrant artistic community that ranges from theater, dance, and music to visual arts, writers, and so much more. And while you may be aware of the large events that come to town, you may not always know about the wonderful things that are being created right here. Well, that's our mission. We're here to help you keep it in focus. Later, we'll visit with the Pikes Peak Writers at their annual conference in Colorado Springs with a special interview with thriller author Jeffrey Deaver. But first, we'll stop by the Curious Theater at their annual fundraising event, this year featuring Governor Ritter, Lanny Garrett, Reggie Rivers, and Sandy Tannenbaum. Denver Stories is a unique performance event featuring some of Denver's most influential and exciting personalities, and this is Curious Theater Company's largest fundraising event of the year. It offers a unique glimpse into the lives of some of Denver's most intriguing personalities while highlighting one of Denver's cultural gems, the Curious Theater Company. It includes Governor Bill Ritter, the founder of Occasions by Sandy, Sandy Tannenbaum, who's often been referred to as the Grand Dame of local caterers, former NFL running back Reggie Rivers, who played 6 seasons with the Denver Broncos, and he's currently the weekend sports anchor on CBS 4. Lanny Garrett, owner of Lanny's Clock Tower Cabaret in downtown Denver. She's that redheaded vixen who has charmed audiences with Anything Goes and her hilarious country spoof, Patsy Decline. So we're lucky enough to have our first stop on the red carpet be with Governor Ritter himself. Hello, Governor Ritter.
How you doing?
Great.
Good to see you, Eden.
So tell me, how did you get involved in this particular project?
This is one of those deals where it's shameless, right? You just have to decide you're going to do it. Dean Prina is a very good friend of mine. He's affiliated with Curious Theater. He has never said no to anything I've ever asked him. He served on a board with me for years and years, and then he helped me in my campaign. He said, I'd really like you to do this. And as a result of his request, I said, sometimes it hurts to be governor.
Have you seen the play that's been written about your life?
No, I did see a script of it, and didn't get much editorial control, although enough to be very comfortable that they're really sensitive. Because, I mean, making somebody's, trying to walk through somebody's life in a little amount of time and do it with some sensitivity, because we all have, pits and peaks and valleys, and they were great about how they did it.
And how does it feel?
Well, I don't know how really to react to that. I've never been in the subject of anything except newspaper editorials. So it actually feels.
Fun either,
well, they're not. I've had some that are absolutely not fun at all. It feels pretty cool, right, to have your family here, and my mom's here, and it's a little bit about her and what a great person she was too.
And you got to feature some of her story in your campaign as well.
I did. My mother raised 12 kids. My father was really a great guy with an alcohol problem, and he left after the 12th child, and a lot of people hear that and think he was an awful person, and he wasn't at all. He had an alcohol problem. My mother is a real hero. She raised us after he left by herself, and really she's a brilliant woman.
Now, Colorado is starting to become really well known for more than just our beautiful scenery and our great outdoor activities, but lots of our arts and culture scene in Colorado, and having it be so well displayed right here at the Curious Theater. I'm wondering, what would you say to Coloradans who don't necessarily jump in and participate?
Oh, I think, art in all of its forms is a way that completes us. And it doesn't have to be, theater. It can be painting. It can be music. There are just so many different ways, but we're not, I think, complete without it. And certainly as a community not. We've got the Denver Center for Performing Arts. That's just a wonderful compliment to everything else in this town. But these kinds of things, which are really, in a sense, not 16 or 14th Street DCPA, but still really important cultural events where people get to appreciate the beauty of the arts. I can't tell you how much I think that means to the Denver community, the metropolitan community, and ultimately to Colorado.
Great. Thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you. It's really nice seeing you.
Thank you. Because we're here with the artistic director of Curious Theater. Chip, would you tell us what this event means to Curious Theater each year?
Well, personally to me it means a lot because it was kind of my idea, and I stole it, so I'll admit that. I stole it, but it was my idea. And I think the thing that's great about it is it lets people celebrate our community while simultaneously supporting A Good Cause and Curious Theater Company. So it's a great kind of 1-2 punch that makes for a really fun event and a really effective way to kind of support cultural organizations.
And how were you able to select the subjects of Denver Stories this year?
Oh, well, we were so fortunate. This is the great lineup this year. And, we always try to have a nice blend between, what people, maybe their professions are, their backgrounds are. And most importantly, this year we've got a performer in Lanny Garrett, which is great. So there'll be a little surprise there in her play. So that'll be something to look forward to.
So it's the intermission at Denver Stories, and there was a real ruckus caused from Lanny Garrett's piece, not just because the piece was so good and we got to hear her sing, but also there was a real competition for the bid for her auction package, which included a private performance in your home. Well, not just one, but 2 bidders won that package. It's a very exciting night here at Curious Theater, and it's a glorious building. If you haven't been here before, call the box office, visit the website, and sign up for the next season, season 12 at Curious Theater. And we're here with the fabulous Judy Wolf, who did more than just win the auction for Lanny Garrett. You sort of made it double, didn't you?
It was my pleasure. I love this place, and Lanny and I have been good friends for a lot of years, and it's not just about the red hair thing that we share, and my admiration for Curious.
Now, speaking of your admiration for Curious, it's a jewel here in Denver, and not everybody seems to know all of the great work they're doing here. How did you get involved with the Curious Theater?
Because of my work, I'm a trustee with a DCPA here in town, and of course, I've known about Curious for a long time. Chip Walton recently, the year before last, called me up and asked if he could do my life story, part of the Denver Stories, like we did tonight.
How did that feel?
And I told him I would do it on one condition, that he let me play me. And nobody's ever done that yet. I couldn't think of anybody else who would do me. And yes, it was marvelous. And I don't need much encouragement to get on a stage.
Now, the party that you won with Lanny, and you doubled it with another member of the audience, do you have an occasion in mind where you might want to have that party?
Every day in my life is an occasion. This will be special, and I don't. It just came to me that if he was willing to give $2,500 and I was willing, rather than canceling each other out, isn't it a better idea for both of us to do this? And Lanny was so cooperative to say that she would do 2 events for us.
That was a charming idea.
I spent a lot of my life on my knees, waving my tin can and raising money for the arts in this community because they're very important. Not just for us as adults and for the pleasure principle, but for our children.
Now, you mentioned children and the importance of the arts, and we know that Curious has a children's program as an outreach, and so do many of the arts organizations in Denver. And I'm wondering if you can maybe speak to the importance of that, because we know that there are so many cutbacks in the schools and in these arts programs.
There are indeed. That's where parents, those of you out there watching PBS right now, this is the best gift you could give your child. Take your child to the theater. It doesn't matter how young, as long as they can understand the language. There's something appropriate out there. Curious has a marvelous program. Just about every theater in this town has programs for children. And a child remembers that when they came with their parent. And it's the beginning of curiosity. I love the name of this theater, Curious Theater. The theater itself isn't curious. It's about the curiosity that it arouses in us about the human condition, which is what theater is about, and that's what we're all about.
Thank you so much, Judy.
My pleasure.
the Curious Theater Company's largest fundraiser of the year, Denver Stories. It was a huge success, and you can see that the audience is now just dwindling out on their way to the after party. So the evening began with red carpet and then the party under the tents in their parking lot. And then, of course, the 4 glorious stories from Denver notable citizens. Consider coming to see the end of this season at Curious Theater for 26 Miles, and also check out their next season and subscribe to season 12. You can get all the information at curioustheater.org.
Welcome to Pikes Peak Writers Conference. You're watching In Focus.
Colorado Springs might not be the first place that comes to mind when you think of the publishing industry, but this weekend, the Pikes Peak Writers are having their annual conference right here at the Marriott in downtown Colorado Springs. You can see around me all the writers are preparing for their pitch sessions, which is their chance to sort of audition their ideas with agents and editors from all over the country. So here we are in the lobby with the president of the Pikes Peak Writers, Ron Heimbecker. Ron, how long have you been the president of Pikes Peak Writers?
Since September of 2008. So this is my first year of a 2-year term. It's a lot of fun, but obviously this year has been a lot of challenges for nonprofits as well as everybody else with economic stuff. We've had to do some interesting, very creative solutions to things. Being creative allowed us to do a lot more things than we would have done if we had spent the amount of money we normally spend on the perks. We decided to put that money into programming where it really counts instead.
And the faculty and the agents and editors you're able to attract to this conference would surprise most people who aren't familiar with Pikes Peak Writers. So how are you able to do that?
The basic reason we can attract such a great faculty is we are known as the friendliest conference in the country. We work really hard to make sure that all of the people coming in are treated very well. And we've got a great volunteer crew that makes sure that every single one of those details is covered.
And the attendees don't come from just Colorado Springs, do they?
We have attendees from all over. Next to me at lunch today was a woman from D.C., another gentleman from Virginia. Yeah, we have people from all over the country that come specifically for this conference every year.
So Nathan, is this the first writers' conference you've attended this year?
It's not the first, actually. Well, yeah, I suppose it is the first conference. I actually, a couple weeks ago, went to Tulsa, Oklahoma to speak to the University of Tulsa there, but this is the first actual writers' conference of the season that I've been to.
And as an agent, when you attend these events, of course you're always hoping to meet, a new client, but what are the other goals you have when you come to an event like this?
Well, it's great to meet with the other editors and agents who are here as well. It's a great networking opportunity to get to know what they like, what they are like, and because you get to hang out with them a little bit and in a situation outside of work, and so it's fun to sort of get to know them as well. And plus, it is great to meet the writers and to see what they're working on and what's all out there.
Among the writers here, before I had the chance to meet you, most of them were sort of buzzing about your blog. And how did you decide to start to launch that blog? Many agents have blogs, but yours seems to get some special notice among the writers.
Well, I started it because it's a very opaque industry. There are a lot of unwritten rules, and for a beginning writer who doesn't have contacts with the business, it's hard to kind of navigate your way through it. So I was hoping it would sort of give people an opportunity to learn more about how the business works and sort of what some of the do's and don'ts are. And then also I tried to create it as a place where writers could come together, and there's reinforcement and everyone's networking with each other, and I tried to kind of build a community as well, because writing is such a solitary experience. You're sitting in front of a computer, away from your friends and family by definition, and so it can get a little lonely. So I tried to sort of bring different writers together so that they could learn from each other and get to know each other as well. I think it's been very helpful, because I think it's given both me more of a sense of what it's like to be an aspiring writer. And I've actually adjusted my submission guidelines based on the feedback I was receiving from my blog readers. And I hope that it gives writers also a sense of what it's like being an agent, and to sort of peel back some of the mystery of the process. And so hopefully they see what goes into the decisions I'm making, and that and how difficult it is to get through 15,000 submissions a year and try and still maintain responding to everyone, which is very difficult. So I think we've both sort of, reached common ground that way.
There must be a whole lot more than just finding new writers to represent and contracts to sign. What is it about being an agent that feeds you?
taking a project from a manuscript to a published book it's just such a gratifying experience to sort of to help a really talented writer reach their readers. And it's amazing to be a part of the creative process. And every time that happens, it's such a great feeling to discover a writer and just to see how like the talent when it's just in loose pages and manuscript pages and helping to shepherd that project along. I mean, obviously it's the writer who has the real magician. They're the ones who have the talent and writing, but it's just a great process to be a part of.
Well, here we are with Jeffrey Deaver, and we got to hear his sort of, not really a workshop, but sort of an instructional lecture earlier this morning, and you're going to be the speaker tonight. And I'm wondering, what is it like for you after already becoming so successful to come in and talk to writers who are aspiring to accomplish exactly what you've already done?
I have two feelings about it. First of all, I really love the body of talent that's out there. It's astonishing how many good writers are and how undiscovered they are. So I think part of it is my job to come out, talk to them, help them with their craft, because it is a craft. This is a manufacturing process. Well, that's one thing I like. The second thing I like is I sit in a dark room for 8 hours a day, months at a time. I have to get out and see people. I really love getting out and doing that.
And in their lecture about the craft today, you really sort of hit home with lots of them. You could see them all nodding and understanding your counsel about treating it as a craft and not necessarily trying to be too high-minded. How did you get to develop that philosophy for yourself?
There's an element of survival in this business, and my first books, this goes back about 20 years, sold all right, but they didn't really put me at the level I wanted. And I decided, well, there's something wrong with that. I'm going to go back and look at all my early books. I think this was after I'd written about 5 or 6 of them. And I saw, well, here's what's wrong with this one. Here's what's wrong with that one. I put them all aside, and I bought about 10 books of authors I admired. That would be people like John le Carré, for instance, Frederick Forsyth, Robert Ludlum, because I write in the thriller genre. And I outlined their books. I pulled them apart, not literally. Any book collectors out there, don't panic. No books were murdered in the making of my career. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I only kill the plumbers who don't show up in time when they ought to. They become the next victim in my book. Well, I read the books of the people I admired. I studied them, I outlined them, I took notes, and I realized what they did right. I looked at my books and saw what I did wrong. So I formulated basically what I would call a schematic of writing the sort of thriller that I do. I stuck to that, and immediately on taking that, let's call it a manufacturer's approach to writing novels, my books became much more popular, and now they're selling, millions of copies around the world, translated into 30 languages. It is the kind of thing that you're not going to get on an airplane that hasn't been built according to specifications. Why should you pick up a book that isn't built the same way?
And your next book coming out, can you give us a little taste of what we can look forward to?
Sure. I write 2 series. The first involves Lincoln Rhyme. Now, he's the character from the Bone Collector movie that your viewers may be familiar with, starring Denzel Washington and Angelina Jolie. And he's sort of a CSI guy. He's a forensic scientist. Well, I also write a series involving a woman named Catherine Dance, and she is a kinesics expert. That's body language. She is an investigator who will look you in the eye, watch your fingers as you're telling stories, as she's interviewing you, watch whether you scratch your ear or not, whether your foot bobs, and she'll get a clue whether you're telling the truth or not. She is not as much interested in forensics as she is in the truth or falsehood of what you're saying. So she's really a witness kind of person. And the latest book in that series is going to be Roadside Crosses. It will be out in June of this year. And it really involves the accountability of bloggers. What happens in the book, a young man is cyber-bullied, and he apparently goes on a rampage based on some false statements that were made about him. And she gets very involved in that crime. Lots of twists and turns and surprises.
Will you be coming through Colorado to support that book in June?
Yes, I will. Sadly, I'm not going to get down to Colorado Springs, but I'll be in Denver. I always do the tattered cover there. No, I do the Is it Highlands Ranch? Yeah, Highlands Ranch, lovely bookstore, one of their newer locations. And I've done Lodo and Cherry Creek, is it, I think, the other one? But a wonderful independent bookstore, so I'll be supporting them.
Great, thank you so much.
Oh, Eden, thank you very much.
Maybe tell us how people can get involved with Pikes Peak Writers in other ways. What other kinds of programming do you offer?
Every month, every third Tuesday, we have what we call a Right Brain workshop. Right Brain, yep. And we have speakers come in from all over the state and from outside of the state to talk about craft, business, how to get published. We also have American Icon in August, and that's our literary version of American Idol. We have a panel of 3 celebrity judges, and people get to stand up and do a reading and get instantaneous feedback. And we have no Simons.
No Simons.
No Simons.
Well, what's really fun is that these Right Brains are free to members, so you can come every single month for free. Go to their website, which is www.pikespeakwriters.com, and register there. Absolutely not. You can just have a love of writing and want to write and get involved. That's what's exciting about it.
So do you think that a lot of your members join simply because they like to learn about writing and they're not necessarily trying to be professional writers?
I think writing is a very solitary sport, if you want to call it that, a solitary business, and people are looking for contacts. They're looking for other people who are going through the same struggle that they're going through, whether it's they've never been published, they're pre-published, or whether they're looking for fellow published writers to do a variety of things with.
And it's wonderful camaraderie.
Yes.
We did a beginning writers workshop, and what we've noticed is that some of these little newbies have continued with us, and they've been at every single Right Brain, and they've now at the conference. So it's really wonderful.
Over the summer, do you have any special activities over the summer that people who are just finding out about you can become interested in?
Well, as a matter of fact, we're doing something very new this year. We're going to have a teen program, and so we're going to have 3 months devoted to craft and writing exercises and workshops that teens would be excited about.
We have a news mag. It comes out every 2 months, and that'll also give you all the information about upcoming events.
So we hope that you will come and join us. It's a wonderful group.
Here's a preview of what we're working on for the next edition of In Focus. The Arvada Center and Ballet Nouveau, Colorado, 2 great arts organizations in our area, joined together this June in the Arvada Center Outdoor Amphitheater. Garrett Ammon, BNC's artistic director, will extend the company's season and present an encore of the amazing rock ballets, all set to the music of INXS, Queen, and David Bowie, and featuring some of the most amazing contemporary dancers in our area. Here's a preview of what you can expect. Join us as we bring you a special glimpse of BNC's rock ballets at the Arvada Center. Lanny's Clock Tower Cabaret is located underground in the historic DNF Clock Tower, which is in the heart of the Denver Theater Hotel and Shopping District. It features a lush decor where you can enjoy cocktails, appetizers, and dessert, and some very eclectic entertainment. In fact, in June, Lanny's was the final stop on the Altar Boys tour. On our next show, we'll take you to a special Father's Day event held at Lanny's, benefiting the Matthew Shepard Foundation with singer-songwriter Phil Putnam. While this event marked Phil's Denver debut, his music may be familiar. His video for More Than This was the longest consecutively running video in the history of MTV Logo's ClickList Top 10 Video Countdown, with 17 weeks on that list. The Cherry Creek Arts Festival weekend event is a celebration of visual, culinary, and performing arts. Held July 3rd, 4th, and 5th, the festival attracts an average of 350,000 visitors over the 3 days. And this free event provides a rare and exciting opportunity to meet and talk with international visual artists, sample fine cuisine, enjoy live musical performances, and artist demonstrations. We'll be there to meet established and emerging Colorado artists. the Cherry Creek Arts Festival will help you keep it in focus. Cultural Affairs of Broomfield presents a special concert on Tuesday, July 7th, The Green Cards, with special guests Boulder Acoustic Society, and we'll be there to meet them. The Green Cards are a new underground folk movement also described as a progressive bluegrass band, and Colorado's own Boulder Acoustic Society. They've been described as new wave of American roots music. If you don't already know these bands, or even if you're part of their fan club, we'll bring you a new look at these fresh musical voices. Well, that's the final curtain on our first show. I hope you enjoyed it. Please come back again next time when we're going to bring you more of the creative work being done right here in Colorado. And if there's something you think we should cover, well, let us know. Visit our webpage at infocustv.org. With all that Colorado has to offer, we're here to help you keep it in focus. Thank you for watching. Good night.
Snugglebug.